In the foothills of the Himalayas, where the morning mist dances with the first rays of sunlight, there lived a young sculptor named Arjun. He was known throughout the surrounding villages for his exceptional skill in carving stone, but more so for his restlessness. Despite his talent, Arjun felt powerless, constantly seeking something he could not name, a secret, a technique, a power that would make his creations truly come alive. One day, while delivering a statue to a temple in a distant village, Arjun heard whispers of a mystic who lived high in the mountains. This sage, they said, possessed the knowledge of true manifestation, the ability to breathe life into mere thoughts and make the universe bend to one's will. The villagers spoke in hushed tones, some with reverence, others with fear, but all agreed that this mystic held secrets that could transform a man's destiny. Arjun's heart quickened. This was what he had been searching for, not just the ability to shape stone, but the power to shape reality itself. Without hesitation, he gathered supplies and began the arduous journey up the mountain, leaving behind his workshop, his commissions, and the life he knew. The path was treacherous. For 7 days and 7 nights, Arjun climbed. His hands, so skilled at delicate carving, became raw and bloodied from gripping rocky ledges. His breath, usually steady as he worked his stone, came in gasps in the thin mountain air. But his determination was absolute. Power, real power, awaited him at the summit. On the 8th day, exhausted and nearly broken, Arjun stumbled into a small clearing near the peak. There, sitting on a simple rock, was an old man in worn robes, his eyes closed in meditation. The mystic's presence was both overwhelming and utterly ordinary, like a mountain that has always been there, unnoticed until you truly look. "Master," Arjun gasped, falling to his knees, "I have come seeking the secret of manifestation. I want to learn how to command the universe, to transform thought into reality, to possess true power." The old man opened his eyes slowly, and in them Arjun saw neither the fierce energy he expected nor the mystical glow he had imagined. Instead, he saw something that looked suspiciously like amusement. "Ah," said the mystic, his voice like wind through ancient trees, "another seeker of power. Tell me, young sculptor, what will you do with this power once you possess it?" Arjun had rehearsed this answer during his climb. "I will create masterpieces that will endure for millennia. I will manifest abundance for my family. I will shape the world according to my vision. I will become somebody significant, somebody who matters." The mystic nodded slowly. "I see. You wish to become powerful so that you can become somebody. How interesting. Tell me, who are you now?" "I am Arjun, a sculptor from the village of—" "No," the mystic interrupted gently. "Who are you? Not your name, not your profession, not your village. Who are you?" Arjun fell silent, confused. The question seemed both simple and impossible. The mystic stood and walked to the edge of the clearing, gesturing for Arjun to follow. Before them stretched an endless vista of peaks and valleys, clouds drifting below them like a sea of dreams. "You see that mountain?" The mystic pointed to a distant peak. "Every day, it manifests itself exactly as it is. It doesn't try to be a river or a cloud or a tree. It doesn't seek power to become something else. Yet it shapes the weather around it, provides home for countless beings, and stands as a testament to the Earth's own creative force. Tell me, is the mountain powerful?" "Yes," Arjun admitted, "but it has no consciousness, no will, doesn't it?" The mystic smiled. "Or perhaps its will is so aligned with its nature that you cannot see where one ends and the other begins. This is the first secret of manifestation. You cannot manifest from a place of wanting to become. You can only manifest from a place of being." The mystic led Arjun to a small cave that served as his dwelling. Inside, there was almost nothing: a mat for sleeping, a pot for water, and mysteriously a piece of uncarved stone. "But master," Arjun protested, "surely there must be techniques, practices, sacred words? Oh yes, the mystic chuckled. There are many techniques. I could teach you mantras that would take you lifetimes to perfect. I could show you practices that would require you to sit in meditation for 20 years. But tell me, when you carve stone, do you use every tool in existence? Or do you use the right tool for the specific work? The right tool, of course. Then let me give you the right tool for understanding manifestation. But first, you must stay here for one full cycle of the moon. During this time, you will do exactly as I do, no more, no less. Arjun agreed eagerly, expecting to be initiated into elaborate rituals and secret practices. Instead, what followed was the most ordinary and extraordinary month of his life. Each day, the mystic would wake before dawn and sit in silence, not in elaborate meditation postures, but simply sitting, being present. He would tend to a small garden, carrying water from a spring, speaking to the plants not with magical incantations, but with the same attention one might give to an old friend. He would prepare simple meals with complete attention, as if the cutting of each vegetable was a sacred act, not because he made it sacred, but because he was present enough to perceive the sacredness that was already there. At first, Arjun was frustrated. When would the real teachings begin? When would he learn the secrets of power? But as days passed, something began to shift. In the silence, without the constant noise of his ambitions and desires, Arjun began to notice things he had never seen before. He noticed how his breath moved without his command, how his heart beat without his permission, how his hair grew without his instruction. He observed how thoughts arose and passed like clouds, how emotions flowed like water, how his body knew exactly how to heal a small cut without his conscious intervention. "Master," he said one evening, "I'm beginning to see that there are forces working through me that I don't control." "Ah," the mystic nodded, "now you're beginning to understand power. You see, most people think power means controlling everything, but true power is aligning yourself with the forces that are already at work. The river is powerful not because it commands the water, but because it provides a path for the water to follow its nature. But then how does one manifest? How does one create their reality?" The mystic picked up the uncarved stone that had sat in the corner of the cave. "Show me," he said, "how you would carve this stone." Arjun took the stone, examined it carefully, turning it in his hands. As he did so, he began to see not what he wanted to impose upon the stone, but what the stone itself suggested, a form that seemed to already exist within it, waiting to be revealed. "I would remove everything that isn't essential," Arjun said slowly. "I would reveal what's already there." "Exactly," the mystic's eyes lit up. "This is manifestation. You don't create reality. Reality is already created. You align yourself with what wants to emerge. You remove the obstacles, your fears, your limited beliefs, your insistence that things should be different than they are. When you do this, what needs to manifest will manifest. But it might not be what your ego wanted. It will be what life wants to express through you." "But Master, people speak of manifesting wealth, success, relationships." "Yes, and sometimes these things come. But not because you commanded the universe like a servant. They come because when you align with your true nature, when you remove the obstacles within yourself, you naturally move toward what serves your genuine purpose. A river doesn't decide to reach the ocean, it simply follows its nature, and the ocean is the inevitable result." The mystic continued, "Let me tell you a story within our story. Once, there was a merchant who came to me, much like you, seeking the power to manifest wealth. I told him to sit by the stream every day and observe. He was frustrated. What did watching water have to do with wealth? But he was desperate, so he did as I suggested. Day after day, he sat by the stream. At first his mind was full of schemes and plans, but gradually he began to simply watch. He noticed how the water never struggled, yet it carved through solid rock. He observed how it naturally found the path of least resistance, yet this wasn't weakness, It was intelligence. He saw how the stream nourished everything it touched without depleting itself. After a month, the merchant returned to his business with a completely different approach. Instead of trying to force deals and manipulate outcomes, he began to flow like water. He looked for natural alignments, for places where his goods could serve genuine needs. He stopped trying to be bigger than he was and started being exactly what he was, a conduit for goods to flow from where they were abundant to where they were needed. Within a year, his wealth had tripled, but more importantly, his anxiety had disappeared. He wasn't chasing success anymore. He was flowing with it. The manifestation happened not because he commanded it, but because he aligned with the natural flow of exchange and service. Arjun pondered this deeply. So you're saying we have no power to create our reality? I'm saying you have tremendous power, but not the kind of power your ego imagines. You have the power to remove obstacles within yourself. You have the power to align with or resist the flow of life. You have the power to be conscious or unconscious. You have the power to say yes or no to what life offers you, but you don't have the power to command life to offer you what your mind thinks you need. The mystic walked to the cave entrance and pointed to a tree growing from a crack in the rocky ground. That tree didn't manifest itself there by commanding the universe. A seed fell into that crack, and instead of lamenting that it wasn't in fertile soil, it worked with what was available. It sent roots deep into the mountain, finding water and nutrients where they existed. It grew slowly, shaped by wind and weather, becoming not the tree it might have been in a valley, but the tree it could be on this mountain. And look, it's magnificent in its own way, isn't it? Smaller than a valley tree perhaps, but stronger, more resilient, more remarkable. This is the second secret of manifestation. Work with what is, not against what isn't. As the weeks passed, Arjun found himself changing in ways he hadn't anticipated. The constant striving that had driven him his entire life began to relax. In its place came a different kind of energy, not the desperate pushing of ambition, but the natural vitality that comes from being aligned with oneself. One morning, the mystic gave him a chisel and hammer. "Now," he said, "carve the stone." Arjun sat with the stone for a long time. In the past, he would have immediately imposed his vision upon it, forcing the stone to become what he wanted. But now, he waited. He felt the stone, sensed its grain, its density, its nature, and then, very naturally, he began to carve. What emerged over the following days was unlike anything he had created before. It wasn't more technically skilled. Arjun had always been a master craftsman. But it had something else, something indefinable. The figure that emerged seemed to be alive not because Arjun had given it life, but because he had revealed the life that was already there. "This," said the mystic, examining the sculpture, "is manifestation. You didn't create this, you participated in its emergence. You were the instrument through which this form, which existed in potential, became actual. This is the third secret. You are not the creator, you are the co-creator. Life creates through you when you stop insisting on creating through your own limited will." "But Master," Arjun asked, "what about intention? Don't we need to have clear intentions to manifest?" "Intention is like the banks of a river," the mystic explained. "Without banks, water simply spreads everywhere and has no power. The banks give direction to the flow. So yes, have intentions, but hold them lightly. Your intention creates a direction, a channel, but you must allow life to flow through that channel in its own way. If you make the banks too rigid, too narrow, you might block the very thing you're trying to manifest," the mystic continued. "Most people set intentions from their mind, from their fears and desires. I want security, so I must manifest money. I want to avoid loneliness, so I must manifest a relationship. But these are not true intentions, they are reactions to fear. True intention arises from when you manifest from ego. Even if you succeed, you create more suffering. You might get what you want, but you reinforce the illusion that you are separate from life, that you must fight and struggle and manipulate to get your needs met. But when you manifest from your true nature, you create harmony. What comes may not be what your ego wanted, but it will be what serves the highest good, yours and everyone else's. So how do I know the difference? Arjun asked. How do I know if I'm manifesting from ego or from my true nature? Ego manifestation feels like pushing, like effort, like trying to make something happen. It's accompanied by anxiety, urgency, and fear of failure. True manifestation feels like allowing, like flowering, like something natural and inevitable. It's accompanied by peace, patience, and trust. Ego manifestation says, I must make this happen. True manifestation says, I allow this to happen through me. The mystic stood and placed his hand on Arjun's shoulder. You came here seeking power, the ability to manifest your will. But what you've found, I hope, is something far greater. The understanding that you are not separate from the power that manifests everything. You are not the wave trying to command the ocean. You are the ocean itself, playing at being a wave. When you truly understand this, manifestation isn't something you do, it's something you are. On his last morning on the mountain, Arjun woke to find the mystic had left him a gift, a small, perfectly clear crystal. This crystal doesn't create light, the mystic explained when he appeared. It simply allows light to pass through it, and in doing so, it reveals the light's hidden colors. This is what you are, not the source of power, but the crystal through which power expresses itself. The clearer you become, the more purely the light can shine through you. Your work is not to create the light, but to become clear. As Arjun prepared to leave, he asked one final question. Master, with all this understanding, do you manifest whatever you need? The mystic laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. I manifest exactly what I need, but rarely what I want. The universe has provided this cave, simple food, the company of seekers like yourself. Would my ego prefer a comfortable house in the valley? Perhaps. But my true nature is perfectly content here, where I can serve my purpose. This is the final secret. When you align with your true nature, what you need and what comes to you become one and the same. The struggle ends not because you've won, but because you've stopped fighting. Arjun descended the mountain a different man than the one who had climbed it. He returned to his workshop, to his tools and his stones, but everything had changed. Not because the world was different, but because he was. He continued to sculpt, but now each piece was a meditation, a collaboration with the stone rather than an imposition upon it. People began to notice something different about his work. They couldn't quite articulate it, but his sculptures seemed to have a presence, an aliveness that went beyond mere craftsmanship. Word of this transformation spread, and soon people came from distant lands to commission his work. Wealth flowed to him, not because he had commanded it, but because he was providing something genuine, something that emerged from alignment rather than ambition. He married a woman who was drawn not to his success, but to his presence, his peace, his authenticity. Together they had children who grew up understanding that power wasn't about controlling life, but about participating in it fully. Years later, a young artist came to Arjun, much as he had once gone to the mystic. Master, the young man said, teach me the secret of your success. Show me how to manifest the career and recognition you have achieved. Arjun smiled, remembering his own desperate climb up the mountain. He picked up a piece of uncarved stone and handed it to the young artist. The secret, he said, is that there is no secret. There is only this. Stop trying to be powerful and discover the power that you already are. Stop trying to manifest and become a clear channel for manifestation. Stop trying to create your life and start participating in the life that's already creating itself through you. The young artist looked confused, frustrated even, just as Arjun once had, and Arjun knew that this young man too would have to make his own journey, climb his own mountain, and discover for himself that the power he sought outside was waiting patiently within, not as something to be gained, but as something to be uncovered. As the sun set that day, Arjun sat in his workshop, surrounded by stones both carved and uncarved. He closed his eyes and felt the same presence the mystic had embodied. Not the presence of someone who had gained power, but of someone who had stopped seeking it and, in that stopping, had found it. The mountain doesn't try to be powerful. The river doesn't struggle to reach the ocean. The seed doesn't strain to become a tree. They simply are what they are, fully and completely, and in that being, they manifest their perfect expression. This is the ultimate teaching of manifestation. You are not separate from the creative force of the universe, struggling to bend it to your will. You are an expression of that creative force, and when you align with your true nature, you become a conduit for its power. What manifests through you then may surprise you, may even disappoint your ego, but it will be exactly what needs to emerge for the highest good of all. The power you seek is not something to be attained. It's something to be remembered, uncovered, aligned with. It's not out there on some distant mountain peak. It's here, now, in this breath, in this moment, waiting not for you to become worthy of it, but for you to stop believing you're separate from it. And so the story comes full circle, like the moon that witnessed Arjun's transformation, like the seasons that turn without effort, like the breath that flows in and out without your command. The secret of manifestation is that there is no secret, only the timeless truth that you are not the sculptor of reality. You are the stone and the sculptor both, the created and the creator, the manifestation and the source. When you understand this, truly understand it not just in your mind, but in your bones, in your breath, in your being, then manifestation isn't something you do, it's something you are. And from that being, all things flow, not always what you wanted, but always what was meant to be. The mystic still sits on his mountain, Arjun still carves his stones, the river still flows to the ocean, and the power that moves through all things continues its eternal dance, manifesting infinite forms while remaining forever formless, creating endless expressions while remaining forever beyond expression. This is the wisdom of the mountain. Be what you are, fully and completely, and let life manifest through you what it will. This is the teaching of the stone. Allow yourself to be carved by existence, revealing the beauty that was always within. This is the secret that is no secret. You are the power you seek, dreaming that you are powerless, searching everywhere for what you have never lost. And when you awaken to this truth, you don't become powerful. You simply remember that you always were.